Welcome to WTEW Bible Studies. So we're going to do one last video just to show you what's going on, how soon the return of Jesus could be. So I'm going to hold up this map of the Middle East. So you just download a Middle East map and you look at this tiny, tiny country. That is Israel. And Jesus is going to rule the world from Israel. Before that, though, God had promised that Israel was going to go from the Nile River to the Euphrates River. That's a bigger patch. And I believe with the Abraham Accords that Israel is going to develop a buffer zone. They're going to believe that their Messiah has come. They may think Donald Trump is their Messiah. With those Abraham Accords, there's just no telling about that. But this area is going to have a time of peace and security. There's going to be 10 nations that are going to be part of this, and it's going to be headquartered from Rome. So this is going to be a new Roman Empire. So even if Donald Trump does get all this negotiated, he doesn't like to send troops anywhere. So this will be up to these 10 nations to maintain their own peace. And so a lot of people will think then that whoever's in charge in Rome is the Antichrist. That is not the case. So for 3.5 years, it will be ruled from Rome, but there will be an Antichrist that comes from the area of Syria and Iraq. Right now, part of this buffer zone that Israel's building out. So Israel has gone to war in Gaza. Palestinians were there. They've been there for 3 generations. All these countries all the way around, they're Muslim nations. They don't want these Palestinians. They are just trouble. They want to constantly fight. And some of these countries have taken them in beforehand, but when Israel became a nation in 1948, there were some Palestinians that refused to leave, and that was fine. They got a little land there in Gaza. Their mission, though, is to wipe out the Jews. So how do you make peace? How do you have a two-state solution with when one state is set on the destruction of the other state? So that has become futile. Israel seems to know that now. So they have taken control of Gaza and Lebanon. You've got the same thing going on with Hezbollah. And so Israel is in the process of degrading their weaponry. They can't live as a nation when they're being bombed every day. You just can't live in a place when we don't know if kids are going to get killed by the next missile that comes across. So they're in the process now against the whole world uprising against them that says, no, we're going to degrade all these people, and they want to kill us. I would imagine that something's going to happen down in Yemen. So that's way down here. Even they're shooting at Israel. All these are proxies for Iran, who is the main trouble causer. So they finance all these weapons of war that are coming against Israel. And so Israel is degrading them. Israel will never take over Iraq because Iraq is going to align with Turkey. We'll see this whole region up here is going to align together. They're in Ezekiel 38 and 39. These are the nations that will come against the nation of Israel. But before that happens, we're going to see a time of peace. 3.5 years under a Roman Empire, 10 nations, and they're going to say, we have peace and security. They'll call somebody like Donald Trump the Messiah, maybe. That's kind of speculative, but there's going to be a time of peace. 10 nations come together. 5 probably from around Rome, the European nations. 5 probably from the Middle East. So there's a statue with 10 toes. So there's 2 feet. So 1 foot in Europe, 1 foot in the Middle East, and they're going to have this trading zone where they're all going to be prosperous. And one from the inside of there. So when Greece was the major power, it split into 4 nations at the time of Alexander. That's way ancient history now. Alexander ruled over the known world, and his empire, the Greek Empire, split into 4 different parts. One of them was called Seleucia. So one of his generals took over this area of in Iraq and Syria, and this is the area where Antichrist is going to come from. So after 3.5 years, they're going to have 200 million people stationed on the far side of this buffer zone, and they're going to start an invasion. And these people in Syria and Iraq, the new Seleucid Empire, that's going to be the Antichrist that's going to be in charge of all these people coming across, and they're going to invade Israel and take the wealth of Israel away. They're going to put down actually 3 kings. So one would be in Israel. They will likely blow up Rome, and they're going to go all the way down to Egypt. So whoever's in charge of Egypt will also likely be one of the heads of state that will be taken down by this empire. And what's going on now to allow that? Well, they're building a great port right at the bottom of the Persian Gulf, and that's going to allow the flow of trade up into Turkey. So places like Iran, places like India, they're going to have a great trading station right on the other side of the Euphrates River. They've got a railroad line going up, being built. They've got highways being built. So how are you going to get 200 million people up on this side of the Euphrates River? Well, that has never been possible before, but it is now. And they're going to have that, like I said, the main hub of transportation right there where these 200 million are supposed to come from. So they are going to come down and they're going to be in charge for 3.5 years of this 10 nation union. And they're going to become rich. Well, these people in Turkey and Iran, they're not going to like that. They're going to say, well, let's just do like this guy from Seleucia did, and we're going to come down and take over and rule this whole area. And so the Seleucid king, he's down in Europe, or down in Africa rather, he's down in Egypt, and he's thinking, I'm going to take over Libya, I'm going to take over Ethiopia. So basically he's going to move to the south and to the west from Egypt. But that's when he gets tidings from the north, which is Turkey, and from the east, Iran, that, hey, I've got a problem back up here. I better pull my forces out of Egypt and head them back this way. And somehow or another, all of these powers unite and they say, we've got to fight against Jesus. Jesus is on his way here. So when God comes to reclaim his land, they say, we're going to fight against him. Of course, that's a bad idea. When God's actually there, they're going to be hiding in the caves and the rocks of the mountains saying, fall on us and hide us from the face of the one who's seated on the throne. So they're going to actually see Jesus come, and they're going to realize that fighting against Jesus, that's a bad idea. So, but this is how the whole end times is going to take place. And I know there's people out there saying, well, all these things that Daniel saw in the stars, this whole 7-year Daniel's 70th week, that's already started. Well, there's no treaty, no covenant, no 10 nations. Those stars and everything, they might be seeing what Daniel saw, but those stars were symbolic of other things. They weren't symbolic of other stars that maybe we'd see a couple thousand years later, although that may be a portend of things that are to come. They were symbols of things that are going to happen on earth. And right now, those things have not happened yet, but we see them building. We see them building by Abrahamic Accords. We see them building by, hey, something's going on down the other side of the Euphrates River. We see it building by Israel no longer bowing to the pressure of the world to just let other nations destroy them, just rallying different little bombs on them every day. They get another strike, hits inside Israel, and Israel's finally tired of that. So they're going to clear out this buffer zone, and all this is in the works. So that's what's going to come to pass, and get ready. Jesus is coming. So we'll watch those. This is speculative, of course. It never happens. I know in 1988, there were 88 reasons for Jesus to come. Now we see all these people saying, well, the treaty's already happened. So you really have to take this with a grain of salt. We got to wait and see if it's going to happen or whether it's not going to happen. But certainly the stage is set. So I just wanted to get that going. We're going to study the book of Romans next, but there's a strong possibility Jesus is coming. And I wanted you to see the plan with a map so it's clear.